Hello there. I'm Lord Pog, the DM of Adventures in Loxos. So you may notice that tonight's episode ends quite abruptly, and that is because I have recently taken a job that has me on call. This week it was my turn to be on call for said job, and I was called in to work out of the blue during the session, so we had to end quickly. So when it ends abruptly, I am really sorry about that. Next week will be a lot better. I will not be on call, so next session you will get to hear a full session. As it stands now, this is not a full episode, but a prelude to next week's session. Thank you. Okay, we're live. Here we are. So, it's time for another Adventures in Loxos. We didn't do one last week because I was not feeling good personally. I went to my nephew's birthday and I got sick out there playing miniature golf. It got cold. I don't think he was feeling good. I think I just caught something, and the DM has to show up. He has to show up. If he's not doing good, then it's just not gonna happen. We are gonna really have a crappy session. So that's just what it is. With that said, here we are for another session, and another announcement I want to make before we get started. I am on call this week, so the session may end early should I get a call of some sort. So because I have to leave my phone on, we could be playing or something, and then all of a sudden my phone could start ringing, and my ringtone is money for nothing. So we could just be playing, and then out of nowhere we just hear a dun dun dun. Yeah. I want my MTV, and it's just gonna be like, yep. Well, hold on, and we may have to end this session early, but with that said, we also are missing Uquill tonight, or Dragons, AGTX, the Dragons, because he had work as well. So, yeah, we're gonna miss him. It's a bummer. It's a bummer, but we'll press through. I have some ideas for you guys tonight. Do I ever?
Okay.
With that said, let's get into the introductions. And since Dragons isn't here, we will start with Icy Hot underscore 2305, who will be playing Zoltan Heisenberg, our half drow, half human, deep druid. And the deep druids are not your mama's druid. They do not get their powers from forests and fields and blue skies and rainbows and sunny beams from heaven. Oh no. They draw their powers from the deep places, the caves, mountains, underground. The cockles. The cockles.
He went for it this time.
Yeah, well, I noticed how much y'all missed it the last time, so I went with it. It was a test. That was a dry. Yeah, the last time was a dry run to see if any. Yeah, we gotta have the cockles. Yes, Zoltan is the party's wild card. He is he is the wild card. I don't know what else to say. He's the antithesis of what a normal druid would normally act or be like, and he is the party's wild card. He's the one that likes to go off script a lot and just kind of do things.
What do we ball?
He gets an idea in his head and he goes for it. That's Zoltan, everybody.
All right, now that that one's done, I'm not letting it slide. Just gotta have the cockles. Pog 2025.
The Cockles Pog 2025. Make a shirt. Make the shirt. Next week.
Pog 2025.
Pog Cockles 2025. You could say
I'll buy
Pog.
one.
You could say Pog's cockles.
Oh god.
Now you're making it weird.
Why we gotta be weird?
Is that too much? Is that too much?
That's too much.
Just a bit. Just a bit.
Get your Pogs Cockles 2025 t-shirt today from now. Okay. Anyways. Next we have hold on. Gosh dang it, y'all. We're never gonna get through the intro.
Whose fault is that?
Next we have Tempest Inferno, who will be playing Otis Hirokin, our resident halfling cleric / favored soul / champion of Obad High. And thing you got to know about Otis is for a halfling. He can be pretty sped, just like what you would expect from a halfling. I mean, he can be pretty sporadic, and oddly enough, he's not the wild card of the group. he knows how to stay on task when he needs to. The thing about Otis is that he's not what you would expect from your typical halfling. No, I believe Otis has been through too many life decisions to look at the world as carefree as your average halfling. He's also one of the only halflings who is like, maybe you would say egregiously aware of how the world views him. And as such, he's got the Napoleon complex, the short man complex, which gives him an anger issue.
Probably me angry, never.
Yeah, that's Otis though.
Very calm, very collected.
He is very yeah. Okay. Should we talk about the time that Kelm tried to help you out of the mud?
Hey, you got that coming.
Yeah. To this day, he maintains he had that coming. That's a long story. We're not going to get to that. But with that said, Otis is not your typical halfling, but he is a very unique halfling. He's a halfling that has a lot of weight on his shoulders, and as such, he just shows it. Yeah, and that's Otis Hirokin, everybody, champion of Obad High.
Just a little guy.
Just don't you tell him that though. If he says it, it's one thing. If you say it to him, that's a completely different.
Exactly. It's okay for Otis to say.
Then we have Mindoc playing Mindoc, who is our who is our resident he's our resident high elf wizard. And the thing you got to know about Mindoc is
there any other kind?
Is there any other kind? The thing you got to know about Mindoc is that you don't know anything. Oh, there's a history there, but I would not be doing the players nor the listeners and or viewers at home any justice by giving too much of who Mindoc is away at this point. What I will say about Mindoc is he is one of the original players of the game who had to bow out for a while because of life and has come back. And there is a history between him and the group. How volatile that
and shit.
that history is a little volatile, and it's gonna play itself out. Eventually, things are going to happen. They just kind of have to. But with that said, that is Mindoc. Then we have, last but not least. Oh no, I left out Kassid. Sorry, Kassid. My goodness. I don't know why I left you out. I almost left you out. It's because
She's so quiet.
and I don't see their name on the screen, and because we haven't played in a hot minute, it's kind of a little rusty. I am sorry, Kassid. Kassid 69. So not last, and certainly not least. But next, we have Kassid 69, who will be playing Agaricus, the Mycetid Pion Mender. And the thing you got to know about a Mycetid is that they are about the size of a halfling, about 4 foot. They're mushroom folk, humanoid mushroom people. And the special thing about Agaricus is Agaricus is a subclass or a subrace of the Mycetid race known as an androgyne, meaning they are neither male nor female. Mycetid can gain a gender, but they're all born genderless. And then eventually, as time goes by, they just develop one. Every once in a while, we get one that never develops, and they become the androgyne. And they tend to have like special abilities, like Agaricus does, known as a Pion Mender, which is just a little buff machine. Agaricus heals, they buff, they do everything. They are purely support, but they can pack a little bit of a punch when they want to. So that is Agaricus. Also, Agaricus is probably we have 3 sporadic characters in this group. I don't know how else to explain that. We have
I wonder who those 3 are.
we have Zoltan, who's the wild card. We have Otis, who's a halfling, and then we have Agaricus, who I would say, even though Mindoc is the enigma, I mean, Agaricus is truly an enigma. Like, everybody knows in this group what to expect from Mindoc, pretty much, or at least they think they do, or that will play itself out. Agaricus is really an enigma, though. Like, nobody really knows where Agaricus is coming from or what they are truly at any given time. You never know what to expect when it comes to Agaricus. And that is Agaricus, our Pion Mender Mycetid. Now, say hello, Agaricus. Okay, moving on then. So
Yeah, not this time.
Yeah, they're like, forget me, will you? Then we have, last but certainly not least, we have Android, who will be playing Lord Android, who is a half wood elf, half human, who he's a lord. He is found. He has a manor and everything. That is a long story, but he is a bard / paladin, which our paladins are. They are. What's the word I'm looking for? Prestige classes. We did the paladin as a prestige class because we play 3.5 and give you that option. So it's all killer no filler to his class, to the paladin class. Plus, he is also the Saint of Lorethian, who is Corlon Lorethian, out of the elves. Yeah. Android is the mouthpiece of the group. He is the self-proclaimed main character, unless the fighting needs to happen, and then he makes Uquill the main character. Then he bestows that right onto Uquill to be the main character. Android is currently going through some things personally right now as a character. Some things he's got to work out. Android actually used to have a bit of an anger issue, and that is starting to rear its head back in him for reasons. And yeah.
He's a crybaby.
Okay. Yeah, because Android is a crybaby, apparently. This is what the party thinks. This is how it plays itself out.
Right, you heard it here first.
Yeah, Sultan's had that building up for a while. And I am your humble DM, Lord Pog, and welcome to Lord Pog Gaming. Yeah, may our labors please you, me and them old school gamers, and let's roll that beautiful intro, shall we? Doodaloo, 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 doodaloo.
fucking beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh my god!
Feel refreshed.
Oh, all right. I know
I'm ready to go.
you guys are laying it on a little too thick right now.
Sure, I don't think it's thick enough.
I know it's good, but I mean, geez.
Ow.
No.
Wow.
I just need to clip that, make a little recording so I can fall asleep to it.
Pow! Right in the kisser. So, brief recap for what happened last session. You guys managed to defeat the Devourer, the undead phylactery. You guys met back up with Cassifane, the drow guide that Lord Varun had ordered to follow you guys around and assist you in the mission that you. On the way there, you guys came to a hole in the wall that Cassifane explained it's called a Mouth of Madness. Supposedly, it's just a network of tunnels and rooms that are known to drive you mad. He claimed that there had been people who have been known to go in there and disappear for 10 years only to resurface and think they have been gone for only a day. While figuring all that out, however, Otis and Android questioned Mindoc about his intentions. And because it's been about 2 weeks since we last played, basically what you guys have learned, and I'll just briefly recap that. Mindoc learned that you guys seem to have like a past, and Mindoc seemingly doesn't remember this past. Only that that his presence there is opening up old wounds for Android, Otis, and Uquill, who were the only three to have adventured with him, with Zoltan and Agaragis coming into the group much later, and never having met Mindoc until now. Otis, let me see if I remember this correctly. Android seems to think that Mindoc may have a form of amnesia, but he's not sure. He's willing to give Mindoc the benefit of the doubt, but he is being very mindful. If I'm not mistaken, Otis and Uquill don't trust him at all. They think this is just a game. They think he's here for nefarious reasons, and they're trusting Android at this point to not just up and try and murder Mindoc and call it a day. Basically, if I'm not mistaken, I believe is how that all played itself out. Correct? I don't need you, Quill, here to confirm this, because I know for a fact, because since Mindoc has shown back up, you will keep saying, well, let's just kill him. But as far as Android and Otis go, I got your guys' take on this, correct, right?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate as far as Android goes.
Otis?
Yeah.
Yep. And and then Mindoc, who basically seems even more agitated about the matter than when he first begun, because for him, he claims that this just creates more questions than answers. Correct, Mindoc?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about right.
It's about right. All right. So you all entered the Mouth of Madness, and the first room seemed pretty normal. Zoltan actually summoned a Mycotid, which Agaragis didn't know he could do that, and he tried to have that Mycotid scout ahead for them, and it just vanished. It's just gone. He has no idea. Well, no, actually it returned a little while later looking kind of rough, and it looked really agitated that it had found its way back to you guys. And then when Zoltan tried to question him further, it ran back in the hole and disappeared. So it's completely
What
gone.
a bitch ass Mike did.
Yeah. But what's really interesting is that Zoltan used a weapon known as Zugdemoy's Razor. An artifact of the demon prince known as Zugdemoy. She gives it, well, don't really know how. Not even Zoltan's really aware of where it comes from. He just knows that it was like one of the gifts that was given to him by his mother. Before her passing or execution. However you want to word that. What perturbs Agaragus about this is that Zugdemoy's Razor is something that is legendary to the Myconid and is supposed to go to Myconids because it's capable of summoning Myconids. It basically looks like a sword with a mushroom style hilt, crossguard, and then the blade grows out of it. And it really perturbs them that a drow, even a half drow, would have something so precious to the Myconid, and makes them wonder why Zugdemoy would even allow a drow to have it. Because the drows and the Myconids don't really have like a peaceful past. It's not a deep hatred for one another, but like most things in the underworld, most communities and societies don't trust said next community society. You know? So it perturbed.
Right?
Do what?
So it's mine, right?
Well, I mean,
No. That's not how this shit works.
you know, however Agaragus wants to view that is how Agaragus wants to view that. You are
Agaragus might
allowed,
admit.
Agaragus, you are allowed to play as much D&D as you like.
Agaragus is gonna catch sense.
Yeah. So you guys eventually traveled into the next room, which seemed pretty normal. Again, nothing too crazy. But it's when you got into the third room that all of a sudden, and maybe the second room was kind of crazy, but I don't recall it being that crazy. I recall it being just kind of normal as well.
Yeah, it was the third room that was crazy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Of course, I could listen to the session and double check, but if you Golden Wonders at home who are listening and watching want to go to the session and listen in, feel free. Anyways, but in the third room, yeah, everything became pretty intense. Or I don't want to say intense, but it wasn't what you were expecting. You found yourselves upon a hill outside. It's like you're no longer in the underworld, no longer underground, or topside, in the above world, as they call it. And
What is this?
yeah, straight ahead of what it is. Straight ahead of you, you see a village with houses that all look about the same. Everything looks real uniform, almost fake. Like somebody's.
Is it Otis knocked out?
Well, I was gonna
Otis
get.
is
I was
not.
gonna.
Okay.
I was gonna get there. I was gonna get there.
Okay. Sorry. It's like I'm so confused.
That's what happened in the second room. I was gonna get there because as we were talking, I remembered it and I was gonna backtrack. But let's just do it now. Before they went into the third room, yes, that's what happened. That was crazy in the second room. It wasn't that the second room was crazy as much as Mindoc had an idea to take his murder form, which is he basically bursts into like 25 crows, and with like he can burst into 25 crows. Technically there's 26 because there is one crow that is his representation, but they all share like a psychic link and everything. And he flew them trying to find a way out of the mouth of madness, and they all experienced craziness that created a psychic disturbance. And so he tried to like revert back into his humanoid form, but because the crows couldn't come back to him, he had to force it, which caused a psionic disturbance amongst the rest of the group, and everybody had to fight off mental damage, which I believe only maybe Cassiophane and Android, I think, survived that. No, I think Agaragis did too. I don't think it affected
I
Agaragis at
survived
all.
it as well. Wait a minute.
Well, then maybe it was Zoltan and Cassiophane. I don't remember. But
I just
yeah.
vaguely remember Android did as well.
Well, then who all took the damage? Then it must have just been Uquill and Otis who took it. And on top of Mindoc, of course. Maybe Cassiophane did too. I don't remember. I'd have to listen to the session again. What's important to know isn't really so much who took the damage, because everybody pretty much made it out okay, except Otis, who has been suffering from PTSD, you could say, or shell shock is another way of putting it, to not trigger anybody at home. But for a while there, Otis's body and soul were separated, with his body being in the Nine Hells and his soul being on Mount Celestia. It's been causing kind of a schism to put them back together, because one is tainted and the other is purified. And every once in a while, Otis is just goes through this like shell shock, and this time it knocked him out. So Otis is out cold, and he's being held up by a mage hand that I believe Mindoc casted.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Mindoc casted Mage Hand, which our Mage Hand works a little different. It can get bigger, and it's capable of holding up to 235 pounds, I believe I said, of weight. And I did that. I made that little tweak to the spell because, again, the thought of a gnome illusionist casting Mage Hand to grab himself and sling himself out of battle or away from an enemy, just throw him for yards away, just to cast it again to catch him like a baseball. You know what I mean? Just, it's fascinating. The option for that is fascinating. So, Otis is currently being carried around by Mindoc's Mage Hand. Then they went into the third room, and that's where they saw they're now like outside. Ahead of them is a city, like a town, but not a major city, but not a small little village. Just a good, decent sized town. But it's like somebody's rendition of what a town should look like. All the houses look uniform. Everything looks too clean. You know what I mean? Like too samey, as it were. That's ahead of them. Off to their right, they see a mountain, or a group of mountains. And again, it's like the rendition of what a mountain range should look like. It's all too samey. You know, it looks like something you'd see in a painting more than in real life, with a path leading up a mountain trail. Then to their left, they see a forest. Again, a rendition of a forest with a path going into that forest. So they have three options of a place they can go. Of three different places they can go. And that's where we're picking up tonight's session upon this. But before we get to all that, first let me tell you about tonight's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna begin with, yeah, like to surprise you guys with a sponsor. No, but however, we are gonna begin somewhere where you guys weren't expecting, and that is with Otis. Actually,
Oh,
yeah, Otis. So you are pretty much just, you're knocked out. Not pretty much. You are cold cocked. Just boom, out for the count. But within your slumber, it is like you can feel sort of like what people call muscle memory or memory of the blood. You know, your body just feels completely wrecked. It's like in this place of sleep, this unwanted slumber. Your body aches. It's kind of like what you feel like before you know, just before you get really sick, how your whole body just begins to ache for reason, and you feel achy and kind of whiny. Nothing wants to function right. You're just, abnormally tired. That is what's going on with your body, but through its muscle memory. It's your spirit, your essence that has thoughtful that during this process of unification that your body and soul are fighting to find common ground with one. You begin to remember things that you didn't even think you would remember, or you have no real way of knowing how you remember them in the body feels distraught, but your essence feels at peace. And it is it's a contradiction of emotions that you can't even be sure as to how to even begin to deal with with such conflict, as it were. But as you find yourself in this memory, you can hear the familiar voice of your god, Obad High, speaking to someone. Now, who that is, you're not entirely sure. You can't see who it is he's speaking with, but it feels like he's having an argument with several people at this time. And they are struggling to calm him down, and he's not reciprocating at all. He is highly agitated and does not want to find a peaceful resolution to what they're trying to tell him. He's bickering as you hear a soft but familiar sounding voice that, if you want to, I will let you roll an intelligence to say, or you know what, I will let you roll a knowledge of religion to see if you can discern this voice that's speaking to him right now. But the voice is telling, Obad High, he's beside himself. He's like, I won't hear nothing of it. I won't hear nothing of it. You expect me to sit and do nothing. Do nothing. And the more reasonable, more calm voice is telling him, sometimes this is the way things have to be. I don't know what else we could have done. You were the one that stepped out of place. You were the one that stepped out of line. All these things. And yet now you're expecting us to drop everything to assist you in this. Yeah, you can roll a knowledge of religion to see if you can determine who is actually speaking to Obad High at this point.
Already did.
Oh, I did not hear the prompt. The whoop sometimes accompanies a roll 20. 20 like decide when it's
see it. I don't.
When it's going to tell me when.
Directly to him, you're not going to see it.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
No, it is.
So, you really can't get much better than. So, you strain to try and understand this. Right now, like, while remembering this too, you feel incorporeal. It feels like if you needed to scream, you'd have no mouth to do so, but you are at perfect rest. And so you don't necessarily want to scream, but you are aware that you can't really scream. You know, like, you're not even sure how you can see or hear at this point. You know? Like, it doesn't feel like you have limbs or legs to walk. You're just kind of existing while witnessing witnessing Obad High argue with this person. And as you hear this person speak, you struggle within yourself now to pull it all together. And you realize that who you're listening to speak with your lord is none other than Corlon Lorethian himself, who seems to be speaking to Obad High from a place of authority. It's almost like you're now picking up the idea that it's almost like Obad High is having to argue with Corlon himself to just have permission to do anything in that sense. And it does not, needless to say, it does not make him happy. And as you as you focus on this, you realize you can now see Corlon, which I'm sending to you privately. You are witnessing Corlon with his god form, and his appearance has changed dramatically from when you and the group had seen him last. And you note his holy symbol upon his shoulder plate and commit it to memory. Then another voice steps forward, says, "You caused this. You caused this. You knew what the rules were, the rules of engagement were, and you set him to a task that he had no business being set to in the first place, then punished him for it when he failed. And now, he had no means of protecting himself for when his debt collectors came to collect said debt. Perhaps if he had been stronger, things wouldn't have gone down that way. I cannot intervene in this at all, for the retribution that has had to have taken place has taken place. You are welcome to roll a knowledge of religion to see if you can determine who that is, based upon not so much his voice, but based upon just his words. See if you can determine maybe perhaps who that is. That's a little weaker. You're straining to see if you can find clues to it, but trying to remember all this is just a little too stressful, and you can't be for sure who that is. And plus, he bows out of the conversation early. He says, "I have no place in this. I'm going to take my leave." That's when Obad High just kind of waves his hand, saying, "Fine, go. Go, you're no help anyways. You're in the same position I'm in. All legend, no more power." And he looks to Corlon once more and he says, "If you won't help me, I'll do it myself." He's like, "I was once a great warrior. Everybody forgets that. I chose the way of peace. It doesn't have to be that way." Watch as Corlon reaches out a friendly hand and puts it on Obad High's shoulder, and he says, No. You are still needed here. I would be a fool not to have the advice of one who has been in this position longer than I have. Come, perhaps we can find a resolution, but there will be a cost. So be it, I'll pay it. He says, fine. Come then. And now we take the camera to the rest of the group as you all are standing out there looking at this new room that you are in that seems to have options that you were not expecting. You know? Again, before you lies a path that takes you to a city. To the right, there is a mountain pass, and to the left, there is a forest. You all are allowed to play as much D&D as you like.
Mandoc looks to guide question marks
Oh, what are we doing?
asks the drow the drow guy, not you.
Oh, are you talking to
Was-
Cassafane?
Yeah, guess just asks him know anything about this? Just sort of gestures around.
Cassafane looks and goes, we're in the mouth of madness. He says, there's no telling what we're going to find here.
Right.
Says, I have no... If you're asking me if I personally have any knowledge of this, no. Says, but it is a place that is known to do everything in its power to misdirect you.
The mountainous path? What is it? What does this terrain look like other than mountains? Like, do they, like... Are they particularly tall? Are they, like...
The mountain range in of
Snowy?
itself? No. It looks more like a group of mountains you would see, like, perhaps... They are quite large. It does look like a large mountain, like a mountain range, but it looks more like you would see out in the desert. In that sense, they look dry. Looks. It does seem to have what a lot more cloud cover in that direction. Not nothing that looks kind of like a. Not so much rainy or even snowy, but just more cloud cover, as if as if to shade it, I suppose.
Though this town is curious, I think that the forest is more inviting. And Mendo kind of gestures at each place respectively. Says, we need to go somewhere. Is anyone against heading in that direction?
Being as we have a mushroom, a druid, and a champion of Bobot High, I think the forest is a safe bet.
What does Zoltan think?
Zoltan is seeing if he had a spell for something, but he does not have spell.
Yeah.
I was gonna speak with the plants.
You're a druid who didn't take speak with plants. That's funny.
I was seeing if I had it on the off chance of me just randomly preparing a spell. I did not have it.
Well, I can understand why that wouldn't come across as important to somebody who gets their druidic powers from like caves and stuff. The plant life might be a little bit more sparse and stuff in places like that. So it makes perfect sense for its character. You know? These are the most trees and things that he's probably seen in.
You want to know what I have though? I can
What?
stride them. I have long strider. I don't have.
That sounds useful.
I can saddle him up and ride him around. What about Agaragis? What is Agaragis thinking?
No.
My bad. He's just kind of down to do whatever. He's like, well, it's cool to be up, you know, in the place that has air and like light.
Okay. I mean, fair enough. Yeah, it's just nice to be out of the underworld for a while. No, it makes perfect sense.
Does I guess express any of that, like verbally, like the whole thing about being out in the light and stuff, or is it just thought?
That's a good question. Agaragis?
What were you asking me? I'm sorry.
Does the Gegas like express that vocally, or is that just what he's thinking?
I would say that he probably just tells you guys. It's just on his mind, you know?
Gotcha. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Be outside.
Hello, Matt. Androids sort of agreeance and such. Idok just starts walking in that direction.
So the group begins moving in that direction. As you guys draw closer to the forest, you realize that the closer you get, the darker the forest begins to grow. At a distance, it looked just like at a distance, it looked just like a regular forest. Like I said, it's kind of a rendition of a forest. The trees look too uniform and everything like that. But the closer you draw to it, the larger it becomes, in a sense. It's like the picture that you were looking at, has stretched and widened, making these trees far bigger than they should be and closer together than a normal forest would. It's become like a thick, large, looming forest that is starting to block out the light in and of itself. And when you guys draw closer, suddenly you hear the strangest noise. It's Agaragis falling on their butt. Agaragis, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Agaragis had been previously riding upon Uquil's back. And suddenly, Uquil and Cassifane have both just vanished. And Agaragis, it's the weirdest thing because, like, 1 minute you're just riding on his back, you know, looking over his shoulder, and then suddenly he's just not there. Boom! On your butt. And you all turn around to look and see that with Agaragis standing up, rubbing their posterior, like, what just happened? And when you all turn around to look, suddenly the forest is completely gone. And you guys find yourselves in a large, dark cavern. Surrounded basically The forest has replaced itself with a different kind of forest. It is now a forest of stalagmites. And you find yourselves on a path that's taking you forward to a very large, dark tower that looks it's kind of like in a swirl motion. It looks like a screw, sort of. You know, like its formation. It's not just one solid structure. It is tall, but it looks like it's been grabbed and wrung out like a wet towel in the way it's formed. The only one who's gone, the only people who are gone now are Uquill and Cassifane. Now it's just the party and this tower in this forest of thick stalagmites and this tower. Agargus, you instantly recognize this tower because this is where you, Quill, and Dodd were previously when you guys just barely escaped. The Mouth of Madness has brought you back to what Dodd called the Tower of Alistair Blackcloak. And if you remember correctly, this was not good when you were there the first time. And now you're back there. The rest of you have no knowledge of this. And notice you're still knocked out.
Just taking a nap.
Yeah. Every once in a while, he's just like, the clown has no penis. And
What the fuck?
No, the fuck he ain't.
You're like, what is he dreaming about? Oh.
He like twitches. How about that?
Yeah, he just twitches it. So I'll.
Chugs a full 2-liter of Coke.
Yeah. He's like, you guys like guacamole?
Mando gestures to where Uquill was, and looks to Android actually, and just asks, "That isn't conventional for them, is it?"
Not in recent memory. Usually the only one that convulses is Otis.
Convulses. And against my better judgment, I'm gonna try to scry to Uquill.
You're gonna try and scry for him?
Yep.
So you begin to scry, right? Cast the spell. What does that look like when my doc casts scry? What is his process of scrying? Because that is kind of a personal spell.
Yeah.
It's not just a typical thing that every wizard can just naturally have to.
Let me just check something. Okay, cool. So it's like a typical spellcasting for Mandoc with, just quickly says some arcane words and weaves a little hand symbol, but then he grabs his staff and looks into a crystal embedded in it for the scrying itself.
So you begin to focus Uquill, and you begin to try and scry for Uquill's location, and the only thing it shows you is the tower itself. And Mind Doc, that's when, and from, but at, you know, at this angle, at the angle you're looking at it, see, you're not looking at it dead on. No, you're looking at it from an aerial view at a distance. And it's now you realize that when you were attempting to scry on the party members when they were in the underworld, kept running into a block. Every image you were given was of this view of this tower. And you realize that the resident of this tower who had spoken to you before, telling you, you know, this is my domain, you know, you are now at that domain. And scrying in the underworld is not allowed unless you have permission, type of thing.
Yeah.
The warning you were given. And it's the second that you do that and that realization comes to light, the rest of you watch as all the lights in the tower begin to light up in a swirl formation. Slowly, one at a time, a window blinks on. Next, the next, and it just runs in the spiral formation all the way. It's like watching lava travel down a slide, swirl like slide all the way down to the front gate, as the gate itself to the tower opens, the portcullis raises up and a light comes on inside the opening. I love how Agaragis is the only one that knows where you guys are exactly at the moment, and they're not saying anything. They're just like staring at the tower like, oh.
Randall says, I have reason to believe that any potential inhabitants of this tower will be hostile. To be ready.
Joy.
This is Joy. So what do you all do?
Do we gotta go into the kill tower?
You can play as much D&D as you like. I'm not going to force you to go into anywhere.
No,
You know what, actually- Yeah, my doc will actually also add, it's possible my divination was simply redirected, but if it was at all accurate, that may have something to do with where you went. But then he clarifies, it's just as likely that it was simply redirected here.
What is Zoltan doing?
Wants to throw a meteor.
At the tower?
No, that was purely a joke. We are not throwing a meteor at the tower.
Too late. Throwing a meteor.
Zoltan's looking at all. He's never seen anything like this.
Does Zoltan have a knowledge? And I ask this every time. I should just ask you. Does Zoltan have what
No.
knowledges does Zoltan have? Does he have knowledge of history?
I have a knowledge of nature.
You have knowledge of nature. That's not okay. That's not going to help you at all. But you are welcome to roll an intelligence to see if any of this rings a bell to you.
I ain't knowing shit.
Oh, you are not. Yep, you are just standing there in awe, like, I didn't even know a place like this existed down here. In such a foreboding area, as it were. So what do you guys do?
Kind of just starts heading in that direction. Says, I should like to eliminate the source of divination interference.
I don't like not being able to see things.
I'm gonna look at Enjoy and say, can I throw a meteor at it?
Can you throw a meteor at it? I don't know. Can you? Is that
I'm
right?
asking
Is
for
that the question?
permission. I don't know.
Yo, you
What?
want my permission? Oh, Well, let's ask the class. What does everybody think of Zoltan throwing a meteor at the kill tower?
Otis twitches.
Mind Dog's headed towards the opening of the tower at this point, and by proxy,
like-
so is Otis, because this hand is just dragging behind him, holding Otis's incapacitated body. Right.
My dog does kind of stop, like, hearing this and say, just stares back and says, I don't think it likely that will resolve the situation. And then just keeps walking.
Fine then.
I'm also gonna add, when Mind Dog stops and turns to say that, the hand like positions itself behind him, and then he says that, and then turns to start walking there again, and the hand positions itself behind him.
Like,
and he just
my body's
starts
just being
walking.
thrown around like a fucking rag doll.
Yeah, it's just rolling Otis around in its hand, just.
First thing Otis does when he wakes up is vomit.
Kill tower we go then. No meteor.
Tragedy. Anyways.
Okay. It's just like, oh.
I am. I am with the Garrigus. I am with the Oz.
So everybody starts walking there, and for a few seconds there, Agargus is just standing behind them, kicking the dirt, like, oh, and then starts following them.
I want to see a meteor. I
Shucks.
don't even know what that is.
This would have been an experience. So you all make your way into the tower. Second you do that, or like the second you all are inside, the portcullis slowly shuts behind you. And you find yourselves within this finely decorated gothic style foyer, if you will, of a tower. There's not there's no rooms, like no side rooms. This is all just one circularly large room with a stone staircase that looks like it spirals up to another floor, but once it gets to the other floor, it disappears beyond the ceiling of that room. There is a large table for dining that has been decked out with food and drink, and a large roaring fire that is, illuminating the rest of the room with just a few wall sconces to add just a little bit more light, but the shadows of the room are numerous. This is not the most well lit area, but it is lit well enough that you can see in there. Uh-huh. That's all I'm gonna give you.
Otis twitches.
Yes.
Well, technically this is the third room, so Otis would be starting to stir from his slumber at this point.
Well,
Yeah. Mind Doc,
I
you feel the spectral hand, your grasping hand, just kind of twitch a little bit as Otis begins to like stir from his slumber, sit up, and the first thing he said he does is he vomits right into the palm of this giant hand he's sitting in. Oh, Otis, what does that vomit sound like? Give me a little.
very nice.
Beautiful sound.
It's spun around so much.
The hand, as if it has a mind of its own, just slides to the side and lets Otis just kind of slide off of it. Kind of shakes itself. Just kind of it goes limp wristed and just shakes as if it's attached to a forearm. It's just
Mandok, yeah, looks over then, and if he's awake, then yeah, just it drops him and dissipates.
Otis, you awaken to find yourself inside this room that I just described as well, surrounded by everybody but you, Quill, and Cassifang.
Oh, good, you're back with us.
Yeah, first thing Otis is going to do after the whole vomit thing is look at Mind Dog, say, please don't ever do that again.
Right.
Also, where the fuck is you, Quill?
You know what? Mandok's actually gonna fucking press his digitation and just like sort of looks at Otis like a bit. Like just stares at him for a couple seconds, like something's wrong, and then he just presses digitations and like waves his kind of hand over you, and the like sort of vomit mess like disappears.
Otis, you are now shiny and clean.
Oh my
Like,
god, I haven't showered in weeks.
Yeah, you're like, ding, a little anime like star just bing off of you.
Take his finger over a part of his armor and just start rubbing it to make that like shiny, squeaking, clean sound. And just back and forth, back and forth.
I don't know where they went.
Oh, also, where are we?
That's the thing. I've
We're in the tower.
been this tower before, and I'm questioning whether we're still in this mouth of madness.
Who was
We probably
talking
are.
just now? Hold on. Who was talking just now?
Me, and I'm referring to the outside.
No,
of the tower.
somebody else said something too, but they
Oh.
were like far away from their mic. Whoever that was, like,
That was probably Android. Yeah, that was me.
yeah, speak a little
Oh.
bit. Yes, say it with your chest.
Scream into your mic. Couldn't hear you in the recording last time.
What did he say though? I'm sorry. What did he say?
Oh, he just said we're in the tower. We're in a tower. You know, just as a response to what Otis asked.
Oh yeah. What power would that be? Could I get like something a bit more specific?
When they wouldn't let me throw a meteor at.
I was gonna look at his ultimate like probably a good thing.
Yeah. He just kind of shrugs. He's like, I don't. I'm uncertain what tower.
Oh. Okay, cool. I love this.
It's a pretty cool tower.
I just kind of look at Gary. He's like, sure. If you say so.
Why doesn't everybody roll a spot for me? Yeah, go ahead and roll a search, actually.
Well, not much to do
Search,
now
you
other than look
say?
around.
Search.
A search. Right.
Everybody roll a
Wait,
search.
well, what are we searching for?
Well, you'll find out.
We're just
Hey,
searching.
Did I find it though?
Did I
I
find
see
it?
nothing. Jesus Christ, Zoltan.
Did I find it though? did I find what we're searching for?
Oh, okay.
Probably.
I think I found it, guys.
Play sharp to class.
Zoltan's like, did I find it? Did I find it?
I do good, guys. I do good.
Did I do something good?
I do good. I do good.
37.
Still waiting on one from Andrew.
Get good.
Android, are you there?
Android
Oh,
died.
there he goes. There he goes. It just now popped up. He probably rolled it like 15 minutes ago, and the Roll20 is just now waiting to see it.
Nah, the PC's just being kind of slow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so Otis is still reeling from the experience he just had and remembering everything. Like, that memory is now locked in your brains. Like, you remember, partly remember being on Mount Celestia, conversation between Obad High, Corlon Larethian, and whoever else that was, you know? With that said, though, you can't help but wonder what that cost was that Corlon was speaking, that Obad High would have. Whatever they were discussing, something, whatever it was, you'd never seen. You know, you always remember talking to Obad High in the past. He's always been kind and gentle, and you know what I mean? And this is the first time you've ever seen him, like, furious.
Mad at me.
Yeah, furious, or, you know, with, you know, aggressive even. And so you're just wondering what the heck, you know, like, what was that? Which will, you know, I'll leave you to contemplate on that. But so you're just kind of everybody begins to kind of look around for, and Android, Mindoc, and Agaragus, you guys find on the table with food place cards. Oddly, with each of the place cards has your names on. You know, there's a spot for Android to sit, a spot for Agaragus to sit, a spot for, you know, at this table. Zoltan, however, you're not looking where everybody else is looking, and you begin rummaging around, and you find a key.
I got a key.
Yeah, normally a
Oh.
key would just be a
The key
key.
is in the Black Tower.
A key would just be a key, perhaps. This key looks like it's made out of solid obsidian. It's like a crystal key. Like, you grab it and you kind of give yourself like a shallow paper cut feel on your finger because of the edges of it. Ooh, and you pick it up and you look it over, and it's got dark crimson gems lining not the key part, but the end part. Hold to put the key in the hole. No. It looks like there's some money to it. You know, like that looks like an expensive key. You know what I mean? Like, somebody,
You look shiny.
yeah. Do you take it?
I do take that. It is not. It's mine.
Oh no!
So Zoltan, you pocket.
Zoltan, have you not learned nothing?
Zoltan, you pocket that key. Otis, you approach the rest of the group as they're all looking, you know, at these placeholders for each of you to sit. You know, with this food and this drink, whatnot.
What we got here? Is it time to eat?
What does everybody do?
I'm just kind of standing there staring awkwardly at his fucking name on the whole setup for a bit. Just like, what?
Hmm.
I took his going to say he doesn't like this, and I'm gonna do detect magic and kind of like look around the room.
So you detect magic. You cast detect magic, and the very walls of the tower
Of course they do.
everything just starts glowing. You find faint traces of it in because this, like I said, this room has chests and tables, desks and stuff. You find faint traces of it reading from different areas of this place, but as a whole, the glasses that are empty on the table glow. The plates glow. But the jugs, drink, and the food itself does not glow. And the table in of itself and the chairs do not glow, which I find important to me. But your placeholders, the little name tags, they glow.
Okay.
While he's doing that, Otis is going to find his name and sit at his spot.
Otis, you find your spot and you boom, park it.
Agaricus follows.
I'm going
Agaricus
to.
also sits at Otis's spot.
I like this seat.
So, Agaricus, you begin looking for your spot, and you find you don't have one.
Ah,
You've been looking at everybody else look at their spots, but you personally, once you get to really looking for your own, you do not actually see a spot for yourself.
Can I make one?
Does Otis see that Agaricus doesn't have a spot?
I'm gonna say anybody who's wanting to pay attention to this right now, who's not so befuddled at the fact that they're looking at a name, like a name card with their name on it. Otis, I'm gonna say right now you're probably the only one who's noticed that Agaricus is like looking for a spot. There's not even a chair or a place at the table, like a plate laid out for
How big is the chair?
big enough to share, I guess.
That's why I was the chair big enough. Like this, you come, come sit with me. It's all right.
What about Android and Zoltan? What are they doing?
I'm looking for a place for tea.
You're looking around for like a keyhole, and I'm not even gonna make you roll for this because so far you don't see anything that would necessitate anything that would require a key of this type. You see like a chest on the far wall, but I am gonna say that you not entirely sure. This key looks bigger than the hole that, you know, type thing. Like you don't see anything that would fit this size. What about Android? What is Android?
I guess he's gonna find his spot to sit at also. I mean, a bit begrudgingly. But, you know, yeah.
Agaricus is happy that he has a buddy.
Agaricus doesn't know what it's like to be left out.
What about
can I
mine?
try to?
Yeah.
identify the kind of magic just through like spellcraft, like not casting anything on the little nameplate?
It's, yeah, you can identify. So you cast identify on your nameplate.
Oh no! That takes like an hour apparently. Fucking. I mean, can I decipher anything just through my knowledge of spellcraft?
Oh yeah, go ahead and roll a knowledge of Arcana.
Oh, okay, ignore that then. Knowledge.
Don't worry about the spellcraft. Just if the spellcraft would be if you were going to try and learn said spell. Say, but
Gotcha.
we'll see if you can knowledge it. That's only 1 point lower than what you just rolled, so we'll give that to you. You're looking at it, and through just your knowledge and the coloring of the glow and stuff, you're like, magic has different tints and hues and different things, to kind of identify this is chaotic or this is, you know what I mean? This is necrotic or this is chaos or whatever, you know what I mean? This is pure light, whatever. This is just a very minor spell. If you had to guess, you would say that this is just prestidigitation, to have written your names on the cards.
Looks at what everyone else is doing, shrugs and sits down.
Once you all are sitting down and in place, you watch as your glasses begin to fill full of wine or some kind of dark liquid, and food begins to appear on your plate. Otis, what is your favorite food? Whatever that is, that's on the plate.
Sure.
Yeah, we won't go too deeply into that.
Yeah, that's not.
But it is each of your, like, what each of you would prefer to be eating right now just suddenly, like, just appears, except you, Agargus. No offense. But
we're sharing, so it's okay.
yeah, like you guys watch as like
Tear the burger in half.
a meal that you guys would like, a meal that you would prefer. Now there is a roast pig like sitting in the center of the deal with like the apple in its mouth, the whole 9 yards and everything. But as food, whatever food you would prefer to eat appears upon your plate, the pig itself seems to like dwindle, as if like it's being carved.
Huh.
But once it reaches your plate, it's whatever it is you would prefer to be. Like it's a preferred meal, as it were.
This?
Otis is stuffing his face.
Otis just starts mowing down.
Of course, after like splitting what he has with the Agargus.
Right.
Thank you.
He's like, thank you.
Yeah, no, Android ain't touching it. If I have the will to resist it, I am going to resist it.
No, Mandok doesn't trust it, but also I feel like Mandok would be pretty indifferent to whatever's there. All things considered.
So, like, some of you are eating, like, whatever, like, game chicken or bacon and eggs or something. Mindox is cardboard. And
Nice.
This is unleavened bread.
sounds
He
right.
just needs whatever it is that to survive,
It's probably just like a salad and like some like protein, like pretty like unseasoned, just on the plate. Yeah.
Nutrigrain.
he basically has a salad with granola flakes on it and grilled chicken. That's it.
Just like healthy food, yes.
Yeah. What about Zoltan? What is Zoltan doing?
Huh? Oh, I'm ignoring it.
you're ignoring it. Right?
Kind of suspicious.
Yeah. What would be on Zoltan's plate?
At the moment, he remembered the whole argument of Uquil and Kesselfane with the chicken, and so that's what he had, a chicken and then the underground version of it.
Yeah, it's the food that Castlefane was talking about is better than the
How impressionable he is.
Yeah. Well, so Mindoc, Zoltan, and Android don't eat, but Otis and Agargus just tear it up. They're just eating and like passing the food back and forth. Just, mowing down, enjoying themselves, I guess you could even say.
Having a picnic.
Yeah, just having yourselves a nice little time. Roll a fortitude save. No, I'm just kidding. Your stomachs burst forth from chest bursters. No, pretty soon though, a little bit of time passes by while this is going on. Does the party like talk at all while this is going on, or does everybody just sit in apt silence watching Agargus and Otis just like enjoy themselves and eat? Or like what happens during this little bit of time that you guys are given to just sit here and relax and enjoy a supper, as it were?
I'm gonna ask Android about what's up with Mindoc.
Just
Directly in front of Mind Dog. What's the deal with him?
This is Zoltan's way. I could see that. In fact, Mindoc is sitting directly in between Zoltan and Android, and Zoltan literally has to lean across Mindoc and just kind of point a thumb at him, like, so what's the deal with this?
Who's this guy? Why else are you so hostile towards him?
So I guess you ask Android that, and he's gonna be like, that's a long story and a large question to unpack it for you right now in the midst of this. I think the larger thing to be worried about is what the fuck is going on in this tower right now? I mean, really? Am I the only one that's concerned about this?
Medic is kind of passively listening.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess I passively listening to everyone, but like mainly just sort of looking around. Like it's just very wary of the surroundings. Like just sort of watching the different entrances and just like listening out, really.
Yeah, and I think I want to stand up and passively look around the room again.
Okay. While Android is doing that and Mindoc is just kind of playing Watchman, what is Agargus and Otis doing, like, while they eat? Are they, like, cracking jokes, or are they just both mowing down? Like, what's that interaction? Just out of curiosity.
She ran to take the dog out real quick. Sorry.
We'll come back to it, and I'll let it gear.
Oh no, never mind. She just got back. Sorry.
It's okay. At least they hurried though. That was some hustle.
Yeah.
I was asking Agargus, while Android is getting up to like look around and everything, and Zoltan and Mindoc and Zoltan's just being Zoltan and Mindoc's being watchful. What does the interaction between Otis and Agargus look like? Now, like while they sit there and eat, are they cracking jokes? Are they having a good old time? Like, what's that look like between y'all right now?
I mean, I would say so. I think they're two peas in a pod. They're like, man, this is delicious. And the Agaricus is like, thank you for sharing with me. You're the only one. You're the only one that would do this.
I think that kind of makes Otis a little awkward. Just to kind of like look at you like it's okay. Like I'm happy to share, but don't you ain't gotta say all that.
Like a beggar.
Android, go ahead and roll me a search.
Can I like assist with this?
No, not really, because you're still sitting at the table and you're just kind of looking around
Fair enough.
like what's gonna jump out at us. Something's gonna jump out at us, right? There's gotta be something. There's no way we were just invited to dinner. There's no way, right? Like that's not possible. Android, you go looking around and you find a certificate, actually, sitting on the mantle, and it's covered in dust as if it's been untouched for a long time, as if it was just placed there. It's holding a place of prominence, yes. It's not like it, but it just looks like it's been long forgotten, as if you get the idea that with as much dust as covering it, like even covering the glass, because it's sitting in a frame, that it hasn't been even looked at in so long that it, you know, but based upon where it's sitting and how it probably did hold some kind of prominence once upon a time, that at one point in time, it had to have been somewhat important to whoever placed it there. But now it's just kind of lost its meaning or something. You get like a tinge of sadness kind of looking at it, like, and you know, especially once you wipe the dust from it and you read what it says. It says Castiore's Wizard University Masters in the Dark Arts. Made out to a Hallister.
To a what?
Hallister. The last name.
That's
you
like
know,
the name.
Yeah, you notice that the last name has been scratched out. Like the last name is illegible. It's just Hallister. Hallister something. But it's a master's degree in magic, but it does say the dark arts.
I'm just gonna stuff that into my bag of holding for now. Just because I don't want Mindoc to see that.
Motherfucker!
I'm just gonna like quickly stuff that in my bag and be like,
You know what? How's the bag? Can I tell us about the bag?
You begin stuffing that into your deal, and Otis and Agaricus must be telling jokes because they're over there just kind of laughing. Again, Zoltan is just kind of inspecting the food, kind of poking it here and there to see if
can I use a spell on it?
you can play as much D&D as you like.
I'm gonna use Dispel Magic on my food.
You use Dispel Magic on the food, and the plate vanishes under, and everything just on the table.
Huh.
Not that I'll be able to read the fucking thing or anything, but I don't think I've seen the bag of holding before, or
when you casted like detect magic and everything, you saw, like I said, you saw magical glimpses on you know what I'm saying?
True.
That would include
the scrying.
That would include the party, yeah. Now whether or not you're able to, like, it doesn't dawn on you the holding or that.
Yeah.
You just know that these guys obviously have magical items. For obviously, you've got magical items, you know.
But can I spot to see if I notice the item picked up and then vanished?
I will let you roll a spot for that because you are trying to be alert. So you would have at least taken a passive notice to Android. You know what I'm saying?
And people are disappearing and shit.
Yeah, like, you know, maybe you caught him like grabbing something and just putting it in his cloak. You wouldn't necessarily have seen it go into the bag.
Yeah.
Just in his cloak, like picking something up. So you notice he picks up some kind of what looks like, you don't really see like the picture or that. You just happen to take notice of him taking it off the mantle, stuffing it with his jacket, you know, like within his cloak, as it were, and tucking it away. You know, whether or not you can
fit in his ass like a video game character.
Yeah, like whether or not you can whether or not you could determine that was magical or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you do know that he took something from this place. You are aware that he has something that belongs here and now in his possession. Why it's a picture, who knows?
What Mendoc will say based on that is this place is infused with many different magics. Sort of glances around the room and says, I wouldn't trust anything from here. At best, it might be able to be tracked by whoever created this. Sort of hesitates and says structure. But he leaves it at that.
Yeah, it's about that time that you're saying that. You guys hear the sound of a creaking door open. And you look as you watch the spiral staircase going all the way to the top. You watch as light now illuminates down the side wall. You can see the shadow of a figure standing there from opening up the door.
Oh, I'm getting on the seat. Set out.
As they stand there for a minute, and then they begin to walk down. And for the longest time, all you can see is their shadow, but as their shadow grows, the person within the illuminance, the figure begins to show. As at first all you can see is their feet, and then you make out the rest of their body until finally you can see their head. The shadows of the room cloak them a little bit, but you can make out that it's somebody with wild dark hair and a long black beard wearing a cloak of some sort that looks a little ratty as they make their way down the stairs in the silence. And as they get to about the middle of the stairs, just before they step into the firelight and illuminate themselves even more for your vision, they stop and they look in your direction, and all you can see is the glint of their black eyes as they're looking upon all of you and say, "Did you like the supper that I made for all of you? It has been so long since I've had guests that I've almost forgotten how to entertain. I hope it was to your liking."
Otis is going to nod.
Agaricus just yells from across the room, "Thank you!"
You note that he nods to Otis. So far, you've been the only one to notice this. You notice that he nods to you, but it's as if he doesn't even acknowledge Agaricus. You guys watch as his dark eyes track the table. He looks and he sees, Otis, that you have eaten, but there's a tinge of disappointment in his eyes as he looks and sees that Zoltan has done nothing but made a mess. And Android and Mind Doc's food is still untouched, and he said, I am sorry if the provisions weren't up to the requirements that would be needed for sustenance in such a situation. I tried my best to make sure that it would be good, or to your liking, as it were. You have to forgive me. It's been a while since I've had anyone else to talk to but my own thoughts, and so my words leave me from time to time. Says this is a good tongue, no? This is common enough for you all to understand, yes?
Common enough. Android
I think
nods,
it's just-
you know.
Staring at him warily, his eyes just increasingly narrowing with every word.
I was just gonna say the food was divine.
Again, he nods at you, Otis, and then he nods and like pleased, and then he nods in everybody else's direction, and he steps deeper into the light and makes his way all the way down the stairwell. You see standing there before you a wizard, wearing a dark cloak, his beard with a long beard and mustache and wild black hair, and his eyes that are just piercing. He wears a what looks like a tunic or a robe, but it's all patchwork, studs and leathers and cloth and different things like that. And his visage is extremely grim. His expression doesn't seem to match his kindly voice, as it were. To hear him just talk, he sounds friendly, but his expression, however, does not match. There's something very cold, something very ancient, maybe malicious within his gaze. As he steps down finally and regards you all, he says, "Very good. Then perhaps we can get down to business. You might be wondering why I didn't invite your friend and your guide, the Drow, to our little meeting. One, because your friend has already been here, and I fear he would not be as he would not reciprocate my invitation. And two, well, the other one's just a Drow."
With that, I'm gonna look myself up and down.
He looks at you do that, Zoltan, and he says, "Oh, I go by the one drop rule. You have one drop of pure blood in you, so you can't be a Drow." He says, "So,
If Sultan doesn't say anything back, Mandok's still standing. Not just going to ask, and who are you?
says, "Oh, my name, well, once upon a time I was known by another, but I have become known in these lands, in my domain, as it were, as Hallister Blackcloak." My doc, do you recognize that name?
Yeah, my dog looks shook.
He takes note of that. There's a slight smile that appears on his face as he looks at you, Mind Doc, and he says, "Oh, yes, you and I have had some correspondence already, haven't we? I should have recognized that you'd be the one in the room. But I did not realize that you knew that much of me. You'll have to forgive me, High Elf. I know nothing of you. Other than you..."
Correspondence?
He says, "Yes, you have peeked into my domain many of times, and I've had to, how you say, reprimand you for looking in places where you don't belong."
Stefan's a little bit cold.
Otis is going to kind of snicker at that.
He's like, he just looks at you again, Otis, with a pleased look on his face. Yeah, like, and he looks at you now, Android, and to you, Zoltan, and he goes, "And you two, you guys have you have caught my attention here recently. Let me ask, how does my mouth of madness, how is it treating you all?"
So far, not terrible as far as I can tell. He kind of scratches his cheek and he's like, I mean, assuming it's not like 10 years have passed when we get out of here.
I just gotta say, speak for yourself when you say that.
Yeah,
On the
yeah.
contrary,
Well, I
I
mean,
found it rather
personally.
painful.
You guys watch as he hobbles. He walks like he's struggling, you know, over to the fire, puts his hands out as if he's trying to warm his hands. This place is so cold. Seems like no matter how much fire I put, no matter how many logs I set ablaze, I can never warm my bones. It's as if my very marrow is cold all the time. Chills me. He says, "You know, I've put up many of those mouths of madness, and I find it interesting that that would be the one you all would find. That one has not been traveled in." And then he thinks for a moment. He says, "Well, a long time." He says, "Let me ask, why did your friend come to my domain in the first place only to run off?" He says he came here with a beast, a three-headed beast. He says a chimera. Only to run away. I thought he would have wanted to hold audience with me."
This is where he was. My dog looks to Android like questioningly as well. Like, yeah, why?
See,
So, wait, repeat the question? Sorry, my brain is numb. I know it's you, Quill, and the Chimera, but what did he ask exactly?
said, why would he want to come to my domain to hold audience with me, to flee?
Only to flee, huh? Define flee.
Android, roll your bardic knowledge. And do the shoulder shake. So you get to thinking for a moment, and you remember that Uquill did warn you that near that wall you guys are going to go to later, right? That he, Agaragis, and Dodd, along with Yucca, did find a place with someone there that, according to Dodd, you guys did not want to trifle with, and to do your best to stay away from that area.
Oh,
However, I'm going to point out that according to what he's saying, he believes that only Uquill and Yucca were there. He has not mentioned Dodd or Agaragis' presence at all.
so he believed that Uquill was the only one that was there?
Him and Yucca. That's according to what you...
Well, and Yucca.
Yeah, according to what you're picking up from this whole thing. What you're discerning from this conversation, which you now find it odd, because yeah, now you're kind of catching up to Otis. Agaragis didn't have a nameplate here, and Agaragis even told him thank you, and he did not act like he noticed it at all.
He hates me.
Unlike Otis, you're kind of quicker on putting it together a little bit faster. You realize and you got to ask yourself, wait a minute, is he even aware of Agaragis' presence?
So we're just gonna note that for a moment. I'm not gonna...
Gonna put a feather in the cap on that one.
Yeah. Pin that for a moment. He's gonna be like, define flee.
When I went to summon him, he ran. Somehow, him and that chimera were able to move fast enough through my barrier. It was as if they were flying. And mind you, my magic works faster than that beast could ever hope to fly. And then it was as if he suddenly had a boost. I find your friend more knowledgeable about these parts than he lets on. I have been watching you all quite some time, and he's moved through a maw, and he found himself at one of the crystal towers, as it were. Ethereal Shell, we call it. He was attacked by a Neolithid and then summoned to a place with heavy protections, one that I had no desire to break their warding on. And then he shows back up with you all. And I'm curious as to what is going on so close to my home, that you all would dare come back.
Android's gonna think carefully for a moment. He's gonna be like, well, to be perfectly honest, we mean you no personal trouble. We're just kind of trying to pass through respectfully. So you ask why he would flee, and that's because he kind of thinks for a moment, and he's like, well, we were warned, or I suppose he was warned about trifling with you, you know, and he did not, when he realized he was a little closer than comfortable, he, rather than, I suppose, transgress further, he decided to run away. And this is just my interpretation. Of course, he is a bit indisposed at the moment, so, you know, he kind of does his best to fix his posture and give him a polite bow, you know, and he kind of gulps a little bit and he's like, "We mean you no disrespect."
I see. Well, you are. Then he stares at the fire for a moment. And you watch as his grimace grows. You see a range of emotions spread across his face for a moment. One moment he's just grimacing, and the next he looks kind of peaceful. Then he looks angry. And it's angry enough that all of you have taken notice to it. Each of you are wondering right now if this is going to go south. You've seen this kind of anger before, and it is not. It usually is the kind of anger that leads to some kind of fight. Some kind of altercation, as it were, before he calms himself down once more, and he just goes back to a grim, stern look before he looks back at you, Andrew, and he says, "You say you wanted to cause me no trouble. I ask you, what could cause me trouble in my realm? The underworld is my domain. Nothing here trifles with me. Oh, sure, I have others. To be sure, there are others down here who are astute, but none trifle. I find it frankly insulting that I tried to summon your friend for audience to see why he would even dare step into my realm. And he would flee, as if he were knocking on my door just to run away, as if it was some childish prank. Is that what it is? He wanted to earn some kind of reputation for himself? I knocked upon the door of the great Hallister Blackcloak only to run away? Bah! He spits into the fire and the fire roars. He says he would have made a bigger name for himself by simply facing off against me. Oh, sure, his death would have been swift, but I would have made it noble for him. I am curious as to why you would come back. That is my question. What brings you back so close to my dominion that you would be foolish enough to walk into one of the mouths of madness, having been warned by your guide that this is not a place you want to go? And then he looks at you, Mindock, and he says, and nothing is hidden from me in my domain.
There you are. To please speak your mind, good sir. Let them know that you've arisen from your slumber.
You're here because Yuquil's a fucking god and you're gonna deal with it, bitch.
Oh,
Where is this guy coming from now? Where is he at now?
Forgive me, everybody. I was not feeling good today, so I overslept. My bad.
All right.
I still got to go to work here.
Understandable.
It's all right. It's nice to hear from you. It's good to hear that you're doing good. That you overslept and you got some nighty night time, and that you're gonna have to go to work now.
Yeah,
Now-
I'm fucking excited.
Now, with all due respect, we're gonna continue the session.
And as my child keeps bothering me to know my character's height, check my character sheet.
Your it says your
I feel
character's.
like that needs to be changed.
We're gonna have to talk about that later. We're not getting off on that right now. Nope.
And
We're-
I want you to take your fingers and put them together, and then grab your nipples and rub them.
Nice.
Have you taken a shower yet? You now know what you can do when you are making yourself clean.
I did it with my cotton bottle.
Excellent.
Anyways, so he yeah, but he says all of that, and he says, I want to know what brings you back so close to my realm, to my corner of the underworld.
It says nothing is hidden.
Does my doc inquire about that? Like, what do you mean? Why are you pointing that out to me?
It just says nothing.
It says, I know you like to think that your thoughts are your own. But when in my realm, if I want to pry, I'm going to pry. I did not come to your house. You are a guest in mine. And then he looks back at you now, Android, and he says, so? Why are you here?
Otis is gonna speak and is like, weren't we here to find like a water source for the mushroom people? Is there more to it that I missed?
Drake kind of clears his throat a bit, and he's like, okay, so, again, I apologize. This is coming from a place of a bit of ignorance from my part, so, I have stumbled into an area that was a little bit more, let me back up. He's kind of sweating a little bit, and he's like, okay, so what we're here to do is, like Otis said, find this water source. We're also here to acquire some rare minerals from deeper within the underground. As for why we're here in your, as you so aptly called it, Mouth of Madness, that's because we were, it's a passage through to where we're trying to get deeper in the underworld. We were supposed to be, guided through it. So, as for why you, Quill, might have fleed from you earlier, that perhaps you could call that wise fear. He was supposed to be kind of he ended up here on accident on it anyway, and he had to kind of regroup with us. And he knew better than to come too far into your larger domain. It might have been unwise for him to ignore your summons. He kind of bows at that, and he's like, so allow me to apologize on his behalf for that. But it was for a better intention to not, sully your grounds any further, I suppose.
He listens to what you're saying for a moment, and again, he gets this extremely angry look on his face. I mean, like, any minute, like, he begins to grind his teeth. He just looks so agitated. Enough so that and he's just standing there silent for like a few minutes, like very long, uncomfortable minutes, as his fists just begin to clench and his teeth begin to grind as he's just staring at the table. He's not even looking at anybody in the face at this point. While this is happening in front of all of you, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Because he's just standing there, like, clenching his fists, just grinding his teeth, just looking absolutely just like he's ready to pop. Give me an idea of your guys' thoughts.
Just
That
get it ready.
looks distant. Like just looks strangely distant out of the place. As after hearing, what he said about his thoughts, he is through non-magical means, just kind of going through like mental exercises designed to resist that sort of magic, like divination, like mind reading kind of magic. He is just kind of focusing on not really
Thinking about
surfing
anything
his own thoughts.
important.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a
Just
wall.
trying to
I'm
make his
thinking
mind
of the
static
ocean.
pretty
I'm
much.
thinking of a tree.
While
yeah.
like passively kind of listening as best as he can. It's just Vidoc's kind of just out of it.
What about Zoltan, Android, Otis, and Agaragis? What are your guys' thoughts? No way. Hold on a second, y'all.
Miss Goofy.
Hold on.